Hello everybody and welcome back to another Malts and Meeples video. I'm Petter and yeah, I'm back from Gen Con. It was a great Gen Con. I have managed to stay healthy thus far and I'm getting to the point past Gen Con where I'm fairly confident I will. But we'll see. I know that some people have gotten sick, and some people I was around have gotten sick. So I'm hoping to avoid most anything. But I've been back since Sunday evening, and we're now to Wednesday evening, so a good chunk of time between. I'm still just drinking sparkling water, trying to not overdo anything. So, let's chat a little bit about Gen Con because, well, I'm fortunate enough to go to Gen Con every year. I know that, or almost every year. I'm sure there'll be some years where it just won't work out for family reasons or whatever, but I'm fortunate enough that I get to go basically every year, and it's always a blast. I wrote an article over on nerdologist.com, link for that, for the website down below, today about what kind of were some of my takeaways from it. And I'll be doing videos or articles on those things as well. So be ready to check those out if there are some in that article that interest you. But I have a massive pile of stuff here that I feel like, we should look at. Starting with this little guy. This was from AEG, with Let's Go to Japan being their big release. They had a little vending machine that if you could purchase tokens, but also then if you listened to a spiel, you got a token for the vending machine. I got that little guy. He's awesome. And I snagged this from the Man vs. Meeple event. Just a fun at Gen Con, fun at the table coaster that they had lying around. So, if they're watching this, no, I'm not going to return it. But, obviously you're only so here for those little swaggy sort of things. We're going to do one last one. This one, actually, I am super excited for. This is Gulpex's Secret Sauce, a peach hot sauce. Thunderworks was giving these out with purchases, and, well, I made a purchase at Thunderworks. Not just so I could get the hot sauce, but that's a nice added bonus. So, now that we've kind of gotten some of the knick-knack stuff out of the way, let's talk a little bit about Gen Con proper. Kind of what was my experience like this year? Obviously, I said you can go check out the article. That's going to tell you some stuff on it, but I want to say, like, this was a different Gen Con for me, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I think it's more of a way of me realizing, like, every Gen Con is going to feel a little bit different. I remember the first Gen Con that I did back in 2019, so I guess 5 years ago? 6 years ago. 6 Gen Cons ago. How about that? Well, 5 Gen Cons ago, plus 2020. How about that? So, that one was a blast. I went with a friend. We scheduled a number of events. that ate up a chunk of time, and then we kind of wandered the dealer hall, did all that stuff. Then in 2022, when I came back, I skipped 2021. That one was still different. That one, everybody was vaccinated and wore masks, so that was a nice. Well, that was a good thing just for people's comfort levels getting back into it. And that one, it was fun. I got to demo a lot of games, and I had some friends who also were going to Gen Con. So that was a good time that way. Like, we didn't really do much together, but we ran into each other a couple times and chatted, sent messages back and forth, stuff like that. So that one was different just because it was kind of building back up. Then in 2023, it was a madhouse. Like, Lorcana happened, and that was crazy. And I had so much fun because I always felt super busy. There were always people around everywhere. Kind of went by myself. I went in with a very specific game plan of barely any events and a ton of gaming. And this was the second year of the Man vs. Meeple stuff. I knew that I might meet up with people from Table Knots. I didn't do that too much, but Man vs. Meeple event was great. Exceedingly hot that year. And then this year. This year, like I said, it felt different. I think some of it was there was such a high in 2023 of Gen Con feeling pretty normal again. That combined with the excitement of Lorcana just made it a really unique time. This time I went with some friends, though I mainly still did kind of my own thing. We just got like a Airbnb together, and it was a ton of fun. And I think this time too, it reminded me a little bit more of that first time, where there were certain events that I just really wanted to get into, like the Mistborn deck building, that I was able to get into. Well, I wasn't able to get into, but one of the people I was with, who also wanted to do it, was able to get into it and grabbed an extra ticket because he was one of the first people to process through, like, top 400 in queue. So just ridiculous. And that, I think, was kind of a unique thing, too, to kind of be off doing my own thing, but then we'd reconvene in the evening and people would have done different events, picked up different things, and there was just a lot of chatting about, like, ooh, what did you get, what did you like, what did you see, every single day. So I didn't necessarily feel like I had to do everything, but I did a whole lot of things, and I'm going to be writing up a whole lot of the things that I did coming up here in the next week too. Like I said, I don't know how many of them will be written up, how many of them will be videos. I'm going to be trying to do a mixture of pre-recorded videos to go with articles, stuff like that. Well, I want to experiment with it to help grow the Malts and Meeples channel. So let's start with actually one that I ordered during Gen Con. I don't know where the booth was for this place, for R2I, Road to Infamy. I went to where it said it should be, at least where my brain said in the hall that it said it should be, and I didn't see it. It felt like I was in the wrong spot for it. And I spotted another Road to Infamy game elsewhere, but I didn't see Fromage. So it was still open to pick up copies online. I made the decision early on, or late on day one, that I was going to just order it online. So I have Fromage coming. And this one, I have Forage. This was not a Gen Con one. It was one that just showed up immediately before Gen Con. Because some games are like that. But let's start with... I guess let's grab this. Grabbed an Aeon's End playmat. This is for past and future, but I'm hoping that for the most part I can use it as a spot for cards and stuff like that across all the systems. You know what? I hate this plastic, so let's get rid of the plastic and just see what's on here. I like that a lot, that there's a number of different specific things, but you have your Nemesis cards, discard, stuff in play. This will work for anything, but it has the additional things you need for past and future, which is the most recent or second most recent expansion, I forget. So I grabbed the last one of those. Then, let's see, I don't even know where to tackle this completely. Let's pull some boxes that... Well, let's continue on with kind of a trend of things here. I think there's one more. Earth, Draft and Write Records, and Wandering Towers. I should have brought my knife over. I did not. Should I get my knife? Let me know in the comments section. But the reason I have all of these here is these are playmats. So we're going to lay these guys down, mainly out of the way. So I picked up Wandering Towers, and I went and I got the playmat as well. I'm excited to try this one. Oh, thank you, Studio Lanniston. No, I know. I'm going to go get the knife. There would have been a lot of struggling of me opening up stuff had I not done that. So I'm excited for this. I have the game. We'll get to that when we get to it. That was one that was kind of going to be my one of my last bigger purchases, was getting Wandering Towers. I'll show these off now too with it. The expansions, like mini expansions for Wandering Towers as well. These just are some spells, so I'm assuming just little rule sheets and tokens for those spells. Then, at the Man vs. Meeple event, they always do, well, I say always, past 2 years have done drawings to like give away some games generally that people have donated, game companies primarily, sometimes Man vs. Meeple themselves. I actually donated a copy of Pokemon Splendor, but I won the Inside Up Games bundle, and part of that is a collection of player play mats for Draft and Write records. So many of them. I think the game plays, well, that's 3 so far. Looks like there are 6 total. I like that one. It's something a little bit different. And then, I mean, this is classic rock look to it. And we'll talk more about classic rock coming up here. If you've been following, like, what some of the bigger games were at Gen Con, or ones people were excited for, you'll know which one I'm talking about. But it wasn't just Draft and Write records. I also got, for Earth, player mats. So we have this one, that one, that one. These are just, I love it. I love these. I mean, this is going to make it harder to transport. Like, there's no way I can fit these in. But if I play it at my place, I'm going to be using these mats. But that's not it. I'm assuming this is, I forget how much of a central board there is. I think there is some of one. Oh my goodness. Or what is this? Is this the other player board? Ugh. But these, they're not all the same, though. There are so many of these mats. And then, let's see, the rest of them look the same. But, yeah, plethora of neoprene player mats. Whew. Let's see, let's stick with something else that's not truly a board game itself. We have Stormlight Premium Miniatures for the Stormlight RPG, which is a Cosmere RPG, but I got to play the deck building game. I didn't get to play the RPG. I was actually bummed. When we were playing the deck building game, the people we were playing it with had gotten tickets and had extra tickets for the RPG. But I had my Man vs. Meeple event that night, and as much as I wanted to skip and play the RPG, see what that was about, I also didn't want to skip. Like, I love the Man vs. Meeple events. And I got in some good gaming there. We'll talk about the games that I played there coming up shortly, because I have all of them here. We also have from Inside Up, this is for their game Terminus, some deluxe upgraded bits. We'll be switching to some Gen Con water. Not from Indianapolis. Then more deluxe bits for Terminus. And I think, let's see. I have a few other things over here. Let's talk about the other smaller things that I got. I think somewhere, just realized, I don't know where, it might be in with my Star Wars Unlimited, or it might be in one of the bags still. I have a couple other promo cards, but I have a promo card, gear card for Shadows of Brimstone, a game that I demoed. I want to play it again. I have my copy. Maybe I dropped the cards that I got. Then we have a promo. Really, it's not a promo. It is this one meeple as part of an advertisement for the game Hedge Mages that's coming up on crowdfunding. I bought a mini expansion for Aquatica. Actually, so I did Beyond the Box cover for Aquatica recently, and getting to play that again. I now like it better than I did after my first play. Then we have 1, 2, 3 postcards for Galactic Cruise. Let's see, where are we? We have double mini expansions here for Maple Valley. You might be like, well, you don't own Maple Valley. We'll get to that. We have 2 mini expansions here for Creature Comforts. You might be like, you don't own Creature Comforts. We'll get to that. Then we have a mini expansion for the game Metro Runner. This one I got to demo it with the designer, and part of what we got with that was that mini expansion. I picked up the new ambush characters for cartographers, and let me double check. I have a mini expansion for Cafe Barras. You might be like, you don't own Cafe Barras. We'll get to that. We're going to open up. Ooh, this is unopened. Nice. Coming back from Gen Con, I've had a fair amount of allergies. Not been sick, but allergies. And so that my voice is still so-so after being at Gen Con, where, especially on the drive home, myself and my friend, we talked for basically the whole time. We had a lot of good conversations, but that was a lot of talking. So, here we have 2 promo decks for Primal, the trading card game. This is completely unrelated to Primal the Awakening, but I kind of got pulled in. I was interested in it to this trading card game. And so I have those decks. I have this promo card. I have 3 of the Odessa promo card, which is a fun character. I like that one in my play. And then an Essence Absorption promo card, all for Primal. Now, theoretically, this one is worth some money. I'm not sure about the Odessa or the Essence Absorption, but I plan on listing this one to sell. And I mean, that's the last promo stuff that is separate from everything. It's not completely true, but I'll talk about two of them coming up here. So I swung by Oink Games on the last day, and I picked up Moving Wild. This is supposed to be one where you have to set up habitats. There's a promo card for it. And then, like, fill them with creatures. The creatures are going to be what give you points, I believe. But it doesn't work if you don't have a habitat. I just like the really bright look, and like that's the cards. You can see kind of the artwork style up there. A little game I'm excited to try. Another little game. This one was sold to me really well by the person at Lucky Duck. Tranquility: The Ascent. This is basically a hand management game. You're trying to get to the top of the mountain, and you do that by playing out cards. However, adjacent cards, the card you play down, the difference between the number on the left and the number on the right, you have to discard the difference. So you're trying to not discard too many cards too quickly while building up this mountain, because you have to get all the way up to 8 levels. Just seems like a nice little game, one that it's cooperative but limited communication. And so I can't say, oh, don't worry. I can maybe say, don't worry about that spot. That might even be too much communication. But I can't be like, oh, I have a 5, so I can put that there and I only have to discard 1 card. That's not part of the game. So I'm excited to give that one a whirl. Let's continue with some more small games. This one is Isle of Night from Red Raven Games. Not Ryan Lockett game, but from Red Raven. This is going to be a fast game of basically set collection. I believe what it is you flip over 3 cards, you put them in the respective piles, so like cards in like piles, you grab one of those piles, and sometimes you have special abilities when you do that. And there's a scoring grid, and you can manipulate that scoring grid. So super small. It says 10 minutes. I'm guessing 10 to 15 for that game. I'm excited to give that one a try. And yeah, really good explanation on it. Mallory Lockett, Ryan Lockett's wife, was the one who gave the sell on it. So yeah, I didn't realize who I was talking to until after the fact, and was like, oh, cool. She does a lot with like the RZM games or Sleeping Gods and stuff like that. She helps out a lot with them, and I love all the Sleeping God stuff that I've played. Let's do actually this one next. I have played this one 3 times, twice even with my copy. This is Rebel Princesses from Bezier, and it doesn't have anything to do with werewolves. This has to do with fairy tale princesses and them not wanting to get married in a trick-taking game. But it's trick-taking as in Hearts, where there's a suit, there is these guys over here who have skulls. They're points. You don't want to take the princes, because the princesses are rebels. They don't want to get married. And then there's the frog prince over here who has 5 skulls on him. But we also have just so that's kind of your queen of spades. So it's very much Hearts that way, plus some shenanigans. So all the princesses have powers. Yes, don't take the wrong suitors. Very nice. Well played. Well played. The princesses all have powers, so every player has a special power. Plus, there are different rules that get added in for each hand, or yeah, hand of cards. So it might be second highest card of the lead suit wins. If there's no second highest card, the highest card wins. Or it might be the greatest difference. So if I play down a 1, you play down a 10, that's a difference of 9. You're probably going to win that trick. And so just weird rules like that. There's one for your final round. If you don't take a trick, you score 5 points. So you have to take, you don't have to take, but you really want to take a trick that round. All right, we're getting down to some of the bigger games here. Don't worry, there's still plenty more to go. I should be doing a count. So of just Gen Con games, we're at 4, plus that TCG deck, 5. This one I put in the list because I would have gone for it, except Barnes & Noble's had it for Order. So Comic Hunters. And this is another one I got to play once at, not my copy. My copy showed up while I was at Gen Con, but somebody else's copy. And this is, I played it at the Man vs. Meeple event. This is a card drafting game. You are drafting comics. You're drafting Marvel comics, and these are actual comic covers. But how you draft changes. So you're going to do 3 drafts 3 different times. There's going to be one of them where it's just kind of your traditional pass, pick a card, pass, pick a card, pass, pick a card, pass. Then there's going to be another one where, I'm trying to remember, you have like a 5x5 grid with the middle empty, and you can slide a card as long as it's connected orthogonally through the empty spaces. And then from a row or column, you take all of one character's comics. There's another one where you're basically spending money to win a set of comics. Or there's another one where it's player number of rows with a single comic in each. On your choice, you have the choice basically of, I can add a comic to a row, so draw a comic, decide which row I'm going to put it in, or I can take a row. Once I've taken a row, I'm out. So you do that over, well, you do that with 12 different drafts, and in between, or maybe it's 9 different drafts. 9 different drafts, I think. In between each set of 3 drafts, you set your collection. But you need to pay for your collection. So with the cards that you've drafted are modern cards, or modern comics, which are cost 1. Older comics, which cost 2, or old comics, which cost 3. So you're trying to collect sets of comics, as well as by character, as well as then a lot of a single character to give you points. And there's a few other point things in there as well, but it's a pretty simple game and a lot of fun. Then we have Capybaras. Yes, this is Capybara making coffee. Cafe Bararistas. So, this, I don't know a ton about this one besides amazing artwork on it, on the cards, and it's coffee. Kids Table Board Games doesn't make that heavy a game, so I'm excited to give that one a whirl. We have one last medium-sized game to go, then everything else I'll call bigger games. But we have River Valley Glassworks from All Play. This was a Kickstarter not that long ago, I want to say. I mean, maybe the start of the year or end of last year. But this one's a pretty simple game of collecting river stones and filling in a grid. How you do it is you look at the shape on the river tile, you put a stone that matches that shape, and then you can take from either of the ones adjacent to it. But then you put them down here, and you're doing it by color. And you score points for columns and rows, and this, I'm curious, what does this say? 25 minutes? Yeah, that seems about right. We demoed the whole game with rules teach, I'm guessing in less than half an hour. So, let's do a quick breather here to chat a little bit more about Gen Con itself. Because it was a ton of fun. Now, the last 2 days were absolutely sweltering. I want to say it was generally 90 with humidity, so miserable walking to and from a car. That was the times I took the shuttle, because I'd walk out carrying some games to the car. I would get way too hot, and then I'd wait for the shuttle, or the shuttle would basically be there and I would hop on. But I'm trying to think other highlights or different things that I did this year compared to other years. One being, I guess I played in Star Wars Unlimited. That is a card that I'm not going to find it, but I got the promo Baby Yoda card for that. I actually signed up for 2 events. I skipped the second one, which was a Sunday morning event, just because I was like, I already got my Baby Yoda after playing a Twin Sons event. And Twin Sons, I'm so on. I need to play it more multiplayer. It's basically EDH, Commander for Magic the Gathering, but in Star Wars Unlimited, which is nice because you only need a single copy of a card, and you run 2 leaders, which is cool, but it's also a free-for-all where I believe once one player is eliminated, or something like that, then that determines the end of the game. Something like that, but that was an interesting first event to do, and yeah, it didn't help that the other 3 people knew each other, so I was kind of the target player. Also, I had a very good board state through part of it, so it did make sense, but it was an interesting first event. Let's get back to board games and what was purchased, though. I'm going to start up here with Trekking Through History. This was, I sat down, demoed it, had a lot of fun with this one. Obviously, I picked it up. I also picked up Trekking the World, 2nd edition, and that one is not here. You could pre-order it, so I did that, and if you pre-ordered it, you can get one of their games 50% off, so I did that to get Trekking Through History. This is basically just work your way around the track. You're collecting runs of time, basically. Trekking through history. You're trying to create a chronological path based off of the numbers that or years that are available, and that changes from age to age. Trekking the World has a little bit more of a, I don't know, it felt a little bit pandemic-like to me, but not in the fact that anything bad happened ever. You were playing, and you're not playing cooperatively. So that sounds very different than Pandemic, you might say. But it's still that world map, and you're traveling the world to try and complete various things. Then we have adulthood. Because who doesn't want to be an adult? What does it take to be a successful adult? To win, you'll have to find the best way to spend your time, money, and energy. I just like the artwork on this one, and it's a fun theme of like spending your money wisely, doing things smartly, not to lead a boring life, but to do it in a way to lead your most fulfilling life. Next up, we're going to have from Thunderworks, I did pick up Metro Runner. I had a lot of fun with this game, especially, you can kind of see it there in the middle. There's not a sliding puzzle, but a puzzle. The best way I can explain it, I think it was Pipe's Dream, was the game on Windows that you would try and connect a pipe from here all the way down to here. And then next level you would do it from here all the way over to here. And it's like a rotating here puzzle type thing. And that's basically what that center section is back here, except you're using it to hack the system. This has a cyberpunk theme to it, and yeah, it was cool. It was a fun game to play, and it helped, of course, that I won, but there was an interesting element kind of that you could play around with. A lot of people were doing better kind of set collection wise of different missions, but through my ability to do those puzzles in the center and connect different places together, that's how I made most of my points. I was pushing up the tracks faster than people could complete missions, and yeah, that was fun. Next up, two games, two cute themes: Maple Valley and Creature Comforts. Creature Comforts, you're going to be doing worker placement, basically getting ready for winter. And now Maple Valley, winter's happened, it's time for the spring kind of party. And this one's going to be more like a set collection cards. So I love the artwork on those two. That was a lot of what I picked it up for. Then we also have Wandering Towers. This one has some very cool things with it. Mainly, it has these towers, these 3D towers that literally do wander around the board. And you're putting your wizards onto them and trying to remember where your wizards are, because, as you can see here, they separate. This might go on top of this one and cover something up. And do you remember whose wizards are where? As you move things along, try and open things up so you can get your wizards into that black tower. It was a well-liked game from last year that, I'm trying to remember if it won an award at the Dice Tower Awards, or was it was up for some anyways, and that put it back on my radar of, oh yeah, I did want to try this one out. But back to Man vs. Meeple event. Here's the base box for Draft and Write Records. So, yep, it's a roll and write. I'm assuming that these cards you can lay out in certain ways to do things, which is what those neoprene mats are for. Then we have this one I'm not sure I'm going to keep, Terminus. Terminus is a subway line building game. It is supposed to be a heavy game. It says 14 plus, 25 minutes a player. I've heard people say that that might be short. So 1 to 5 players. The fact it's 1 to 5 means I should give it a whirl. But it is a heavy game. I do have the upgraded bits for it, so I might as well do that. Then the final one from Inside Up Games is Earth. This one is open. This one got played at the Man vs. Meeple event, and it won, I believe it won Game of the Year at the Dice Tower Awards, and it is signed by the designer. Just says, congrats on winning the game Earth. Hope you will enjoy. Maxime Tardif, I believe. If I could. Yep. Maxime Tardif. So, I'm excited for this. I actually own Earth, so I will be selling the non-autographed copy. And we're down to 4 last games. I'm going to do one and then stop for a little story time. The final one I want to talk about before story time is going to be Video Game Champion. This is one that, if you read my list of anticipated games, was high on that list because the theme. This is a kid in like the 90s. They say the golden age of 16-bit games. You want to be the best at that. You want to become the next video game champion. So it has that artwork. It has artwork that looks like SNES covers, stuff like that. And you need to bounce not just playing games, but making money to get those games. Whether that's asking grandma for some money, doing some chores, whatever it might be. As well as then you can also rent them. You don't have to buy them. If you don't have enough to buy it, you can rent it and try and get a score that way. But I like the theme. It just has kind of a nostalgic feel to it. So, I don't stand in lines too often to get games. You can get them later. I did stand in line on Sunday to get Cafe Barras. That was a pretty short line. However, Friday morning, I was in and standing in line at 7:30 in the morning. This was standing in line for the DeVere room because they had 2 games that I wanted to get. One in particular, though I thought it was less likely I'd get that game. And those games were Cities and Rock Hard 1977. I thought it was fairly unlikely I'd get Rock Hard 1977. But there's the Jackie Fox promo, the bassist of the Runaways. And the designer of Rock Hard 1977. As well as, here's the tile for Indy and Essen, the bonus one for Cities as well. So, Cities. We'll start with that one. This is supposed to be a fun city building game and have some fun elements to it. Mainly I like the idea of this one. I believe you each have your city that you're building, and you have to zone out certain areas, which are polyomino pieces, if I'm not mistaken, as well as then build buildings up on them, but you have a limited number of things that you can do each round. And the design combo here of Steve Finn and Phil Walker Harding is one that feels like it's going to make a fun, accessible game to play. And then we have probably the game of the con, Rock Hard 1977. I did not get it autographed by Jackie Fox. I could have. I could have carried it around from like 8:30 until noon to get it autographed. But I care more about this one. This is about going from GarageBand to the big stage, and I'm excited to play it. It's a theme I love, era of music that I enjoy, and also just a fun kind of story to it. The fact that it is the original bassist of the Runaways, and she's a board gamer. She was there interacting with people, and that was cool. And then the final one I have on the list is one that I actually ordered for pickup at Gen Con. That is Fate Forge. This one I blame, I think it was Colin from Meet Me at the Table, did an unboxing of this. I looked at it and was like, this is awesome. I want this. And then Mighty Boards was like, hey, you can order it through us and you can get free pickup at Gen Con. So I picked this one up. This was another one of those games that I had picked up, and yeah. And it's heavy. This is a campaign story style game. You know, the type that I like a lot. And yeah, which cover was that, Studio Lanniston? I missed when the message came up. I'm assuming Rock Hard 1977, because that is an awesome cover. But Fate Forge also has an awesome cover. But that is it. I lost count. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, plus the one... Ooh, the Fate Forge one. Yeah, it is a very dynamic cover. 20 games plus one that was ordered, 2 that were ordered, Fromage and... Trekking the World. So, yeah. A lot of games to try and get played. It is a fun haul. It is always fun to go there and play a ton of games. Hopefully Studio Lanniston, you'll be able to come sometime. And yes, thank you for watching. Go enjoy your dinner. With that, I'm going to wrap up here. Let me know which game do you want me to cover first? Do you want me to play first? Obviously, some of these will play solo, some of these won't. So that will determine a little bit as to when I can get them to the table. But let me know that down in the comments section below. And if you're enjoying this content and enjoying the conversations and seeing the games, please subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell to know when I go live. Like this one, I just went live. I didn't have time to set up the stream otherwise. So hopefully you can find it at a later time. If yeah, leave a comment down below. And if you want to check out more content that I have, you can check out over on nerdologist.com. I've talked about it. Link down in the description below. As well as I have a Marvel podcast called 10 Minute Marvel. You can find that wherever you get your friendly neighborhood podcast from, if you're interested in Marvel movies, TV shows, comics, and stuff like that. But with that, bottoms up.